What's up guys, this is Spiralaw with the Family Video Gamers, and today, since Age of Ultron came out, now in theaters, we're going to discuss, or actually go over, our top 10 picks for the best Marvel video games. Alright, so first off on our list at number 10 we have X-Men 2, The Clone Wars for Sega Genesis, released in 1995. Now this game brought everything that was amazing about the cartoon into the video game. You got to play as Beast, Gambit, Cyclops, Psylocke, and Wolverine and Nightcrawler. And you get to use each and every one of their powers. You get to use the Optic Blast, you get to use the teleportation, you get to use Gambit's cards, and all those amazing powers. Now the game was extremely difficult, but if you got into the hang of things, it was actually quite fun. And they also did a lot of cool things with the game where, like, if you were playing the Sentinel level, you know, things would start to shake and the room was exploding as you're trying to escape. Really fun game, and it is a classic. That's why we have it in our number 10 spot. Alright, and so for number 9, we have Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems, released in 1996 for Super Nintendo. Now, this game was great fun because you got to pick from your favorite characters. You got Hulk, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, and you ran through all these levels where they were all oriented around the whole battle for the Infinity Gems with Thanos. So this was just great fun. Spider-Man was a beast in this game. He's my favorite character in this game. His combos were just amazing. And the villains you got to play against, I mean, just an awesome game all around. That's why we put this game at our number 9. I definitely recommend you pick it up and give it a try if you're an Avengers fan especially. Next up, number 8, we have the classic X-Men Arcade, released for the arcades in 1992. Now this just brings back all kinds of nostalgia. If you have anybody telling you that the X-Men Arcade game sucks, they just don't have a really good opinion about it, because I would not listen to them on that one. This game is just amazing. It brought all that arcade fun, and it actually set the standard for action games in the arcades. This is where you got to pick from your favorite X-Men, Wolverine, Cyclops, and even the Dazzler. I know a lot of people don't really like the Dazzler, but she's a great character in this game, especially because she can take out all these enemies at once. But if you're familiar with this game, you'll know that you can see Colossus just rage off all that power from his changing into steel, and you have the Cyclops Optic Blast. It's just an all-around amazing game. Great combo system, 4-player co-op, which is just amazing because, you know, we're a family, so we have to have games like that. And just one of the best games ever. And it is an X-Men game, so if you're an X-Men fan, I definitely recommend you pick it up. So next up at number 7, we have Lego Marvel, released in 2013 for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Now this game is just all around amazing for you Marvel fans out there, and I'll tell you why. The main reason is just the roster you can select from all the characters you can play as in the game. You can select from all the obscure characters. You can even play as Kingpin. You can play as Stan Lee, Guardians of the Galaxy characters that this came out before the movie came out. So before the movie came out, you were already able to play as them. You can play as Groot, Gamora, Drax the Destroyer, Star-Lord, and Rocket Raccoon. Now, this is also an open world game. You do have regular missions like you do in any Lego game whatsoever, but you can also do an open world missions where you can fly around as Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit. You can fly around as any other character, like even Angel from the X-Men. You can also swing from all the buildings as Spider-Man, and they even have an alternate version of Spider-Man where you get to play as the Doc Ock Spidey, Superior Spider-Man. The action is great on this one as well. And you also have 2-player co-op mode. And even if you feel like being a little devious, you get to take out your friends as well. I mean, they'll come back, but they lose, you know, their life and they have to wait to respawn. But it's all around fun. I definitely recommend you pick it up as soon as you can. This is one of my favorites, and it is my kids' favorites as well. So that's why we have it at the number 7 spot. Alright, for our number 6 spot, we have Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, released for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PlayStation Vita in 2011. Now this is the fighter's choice for last generation console gaming. You saw this game at Evo tournaments all the time, and good reason why. Is because the combo system is just amazing. And on top of the fact of all that good combo system and growling with the fighting and just all around pro tournament abilities, you had an amazing roster to choose from for your Marvel characters. My favorite being Spider-Man, and he does make a return in this game, and man, is he great. But you also had the likes of Iron Fist, Nova, Wolverine, Captain America, and even the odd one out with the Rocket Raccoon. Seems like an odd fit since he's such a little guy, but he's actually really awesome in this game, one of my favorite characters. Now, I would like to put this one in front of the next game we're about to talk about, but the next game is a classic. So, don't put this one out though. This one is definitely a great game in its own right. Just the next one has that nostalgia effect. But if you do have a PlayStation 3, an Xbox 360, or a PlayStation Vita, we definitely recommend that you pick this up. Alright, so for number 5, you guessed it. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Now hold up, I know what you're saying. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 might be better because of its music, maybe because of the combo system, maybe it's a little more balanced. And this one wasn't really all that balanced. But, like I said, it just has that nostalgia effect. This game set the bar for all versus series, in my opinion. You had a huge roster to pick from, even though, you know, like I said, the characters weren't all that balanced and there were some a lot more powerful than the others. Yeah, you know who I'm looking at, the cable. But anyways, it was a really great game. The backgrounds were beautiful. The combo system, like I said, just set the bar for all the other versus series. Amazing roster to pick from. You had Spider-Man makes his return. Yeah, my favorite. You had Cyclops making his return from the X-Men fighting series, like Children of the Atom. You also had Cable, like I mentioned, being overpowered anyway, and just so much more. You would often see this game being just that game that everybody wanted to hover around in the arcades, just because it was that great. There was nothing like it out at the time. So, if you do have an Xbox 360 and a PS3, you can actually look up the HD version. This was originally released in 2000 for the arcades, and you can also get it on Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, and the original Xbox. But again, those are harder to find, especially the Dreamcast version is very rare and very expensive. I recommend you pick up the much cheaper PS3 and Xbox 360 and Levi's. Alright, so taking the number 4 spot, we have The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, released in 2004 for GameCube, PS2, and the Xbox. Now this is the game that all you Hulk fans were waiting for. You got to take Hulk and place him in an open world environment and just destroy everything that's in your path. What kind of Hulk fan wouldn't want that? I know that's what I was looking for. Now, you get to use him to jump onto buildings, jump great distances, smash everything in your way, and just completely destroy everything around you from. And the controls for this game were absolutely perfect. The developers did a great job of making sure that you felt like you were really controlling the Hulk. Now, I definitely recommend you play this when you get a chance. One of my favorites, especially for being a Hulk fan. In our number 3 spot, my favorite superhero, and for good reason, we got Spider-Man 2 for GameCube, Xbox, PS2, PC, and Mac, released in 2004. This game, just like Hulk Ultimate Destruction, brought to you Spider-Man as he should be. This is where it was the open world map and you got to swing around the entire landscape of New York City. Now, that alone is enough to make it one of the greatest games of all time. And again, one of my personal favorites, and because he's my favorite superhero. However, even if he wasn't my favorite superhero, I would definitely recommend to play this game just because the controls were so tight, combos were great, and as a comic book fan in general, the storyline was awesome. Now, it did take a lot from the Spider-Man 2 movie, but it also included characters that weren't in the movie. Like one of the first enemies he got to fight was the Rhino, one of my favorite villains of Spider-Man, just because he's this big hulking character that just rams through everything in his sight, kind of like Hulk. And you have this smaller guy, Spider-Man, taking him down using his amazing Spider-Man abilities. Again, like I said, this is the first real open-world Spider-Man game where you got to swing around the city, and you got to do whatever a Spider-Man can do, just like you can do whatever Spider-Man. So we definitely recommend you guys pick that up. Alright, so taking the number 2 spot, we have Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage, released in 1994 for Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. Now, even the cartridge itself was beautiful. It was that red cartridge with Maximum Carnage, well, with Carnage on the front of it. This is at the time where Carnage was just at his peak. He was one of the biggest characters in Spider-Man fandom ever. And this game was great because not only did you get to fight against him, but you also got to switch off between Spider-Man himself and the ever so popular Venom. And they both had different combo sets, which was great. You know, Spider-Man had his quick, super fast fighting abilities, and then we had Venom on the other side using a symbiote and the slower and stronger attacks. But it's also great about this game is you got to call upon some of the greatest allies that Spider-Man's ever had. You got to call on the likes of Cloak and Dagger and Deadlock, and even one of Spider-Man's villains, but in this case he's a hero, Morbius. Like I said, this game is great. It set the tone for 1990s genre superhero games, just like the X-Men 2 classic video game that we talked about in number 10, Spider-Man Maximum Carnage did the exact same thing for the Spider-Man series. I definitely recommend that you take a look at this as soon as you can, because it is one of the best Marvel games. That's why it's in the number 2 spot. Alright, and taking the number 1 spot, this is actually a split between 2 games, but they're both from the same series. This is Marvel's Ultimate Alliance for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Xbox, PlayStation 2, and Wii. Now this game is great for multiple reasons. Not only do you have a large roster to play from, but this takes the top-down view that we know from the X-Men Legends game, where you get to play in 4-player multiplayer and just go through all these different levels that are oriented around the whole comic series. You got to pick from your favorites from Thor, Captain America, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and other X-Men and Avengers. In Ultimate Alliance 2, you got to play through the Civil War era of the comics. Straight out of the comic books, you got to pick a side. You're either on Iron Man or on Captain America's side, fighting for, of course you guessed it, you know, whoever was right in this whole argument that they're having. Now this is also the same game that you're going to want to play, Ultimate Alliance 2, because if you're excited for the Captain America Civil War movie, this is kind of what that movie is based off of. It's actually based off the comics, loosely based off of, but so is the game. So you kind of get a feel of what's coming next in the whole Marvel series. If you have a PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, we definitely recommend that you start off with number 1 and move on to number 2. And again, this is 4-player co-op. So if you got a family like I do, perfect game for your family to get into it and just have lots of fun. So that was our top 10. Next, coming up, we have our honorable mentions. So for our honorable mentions, we'll start off with Captain America and the Avengers, released in 1991 for Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, NES, and the arcade. Released in 1993, we have The Punisher for Sega Genesis. 1994, The Hulk for Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. Also in 1994, we have Wolverine Adamantium Rage for Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Then we have Marvel Superheroes, released for PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and the arcade in 1995. And again, personal favorite of mine, 2000's Spider-Man, released for PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, PC, and Mac.
What's going on here?
Phew, it's hot in there. Well, we hope you enjoyed the video. That's our top 10 favorites for Marvel video games. We hope you enjoyed the list. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave them in the comment section below. And game on. Alright, so for our number 6 spot, we have the highly